My name is Aline, and I'm a registered nurse. During this presentation, I'll be talking about metabolic syndrome, what it is, how it affects our bodies, and how we can prevent it from happening to us and our loved ones. So you may be asking, what exactly is metabolic syndrome? Metabolic syndrome is a serious health condition which places individuals at a higher risk for strokes, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. You may be asking, what puts you at risk for this condition? The main factors are abdominal obesity, elevated triglycerides, which is a form of fat stored in the body, abnormal cholesterol levels, high blood pressure, and elevated blood sugars. That is why it is important to have regular doctor's appointments to make sure that these levels are within normal limits. Abdominal obesity is a waist circumference greater than 40 inches in men and greater than 35 inches in women. Elevated triglycerides are a level of 150 or more. Abnormal cholesterol levels are an HDL level less than 40 in men and less than 50 in women. A high blood pressure is when the systolic blood pressure is 130 millimeters of mercury or greater. A fasting blood sugar level of 100 is considered high. Why should you be concerned about this condition? If the risk factors for this condition go unnoticed, the chances of heart attacks, diabetes, and stroke increases greatly. Also, the choices that are made every day can get you closer or further away from these life-threatening diseases. There has been more than a 35% increase in the prevalence of metabolic syndrome in the United States, and more than a third of adults in the United States meet criteria for this syndrome. These are some of the national statistics for diabetes. About 10% of the U.S. population is diagnosed with diabetes. About 21.4% of the U.S. adult population is undiagnosed, and about 34.5% of the U.S. population is diagnosed with prediabetes, which is likely to turn into diabetes if they don't seek help. These are some national statistics on obesity. About 42.4% of the U.S. population is obese, which is almost half of the population. The prevalence of severe obesity rose by 4.5% in the last 2 decades. About 40% of young adults aged 20 to 39 years old are obese. About 18.5% of young children and adolescents aged 2 to 19 years old are obese. Obesity is a huge problem in this country. Learning how to prevent it is essential in decreasing the prevalence of many other life-threatening diseases. These are some statistics for San Joaquin County. They were obtained from the annual San Joaquin County 2019 Health Needs Assessment. During this assessment, it was found that 33% of adults in this county are obese, which is higher than the state average of 27%. 23% of youth was found to be obese, which is also higher than the state average. The management of diabetes was 80%, which is about the same as a state average of 82%. The prevalence of diabetes was 10%, which is about the same as a state average, which was 9%. Obesity often leads to heart disease, which is a general term used for various heart conditions. These heart conditions are caused when plaque, which is made up from fat in the blood, clogs arteries in the heart. This impairs blood flow to the heart, which can then result in a heart attack. This is a BMI chart. BMI stands for Body Mass Index, and it's a value that is gotten by comparing your weight and height. The value obtained is a tool that helps identify individuals that are underweight, overweight, and obese. Diabetes is a condition that is diagnosed when there are high levels of glucose or sugar in the blood. Insulin, which is the key to let the glucose into the cells, is either not sufficient enough or the cells become resistant to it. As a result, the glucose cannot get into the cells and the blood sugar amount increases. Eventually, high levels of blood sugar damage the kidneys and other important organs in the body. Diabetes signs and symptoms include increased thirst, frequent urination, extreme hunger, unexplained weight loss, fatigue, irritability, blurred vision, slow healing sores, and frequent infections. Acanthosis is a condition where dark pigmentation appears as a result of high insulin levels. The neck is the most common place for this, but this could also result in the armpits. This is often the first sign of diabetes. Hypertension or high blood pressure affects 32.9% of the adult population in the United States. It's directly linked to heart disease, heart attacks, and strokes. A lot of the times individuals don't show any symptoms. A normal blood pressure reading is 120 over 80. For prehypertension, it's 120 to 139 over 80 to 89. For hypertension, which is high blood pressure, it's a blood pressure reading of 140 over 90 or higher. This is why it's important to regularly check your blood pressure. Medications are usually prescribed to control hypertension. You may be asking, how can you prevent this? It is important for adolescents to understand how their bodies are being affected by the choices they make every day. Preferences in food choices and exercise habits start early on in childhood and adolescence. Then they get carried out into adulthood. By implementing healthy habits early on, it allows them to be healthier individuals as adults and later on as older adults. Parents also play an important role in their child's habits. Introducing healthy foods early on allows children to form healthy habits. Good nutrition is essential. It's important to avoid high-calorie processed foods. These foods are also high in saturated fats, trans fats, and sugar. Choose unsaturated fats instead. Some examples are olives, nuts, seeds, and some fish. Eat more fruits, vegetables, and legumes. Avoid high amounts of salt and serve appropriate portion sizes. My Plate website is a great resource for nutritious food options and examples of the right portion sizes. The majority of the plate should be made up of grains and vegetables. Then what's left of it should include a protein source like beans and lean meat and fruits. It is also very important to incorporate exercise and physical activity in our daily lives. Physical activity is needed in order to maintain an energy balance and maintain a healthy weight. Being physically active for 30 minutes 5 times a week greatly decreases the risk for diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Aerobic exercises like biking, swimming, walking, playing sports, and gardening are great ways to get daily exercise done. San Joaquin has great community resources. CalFresh helps low-income individuals buy the food they need for good health. Food for You program provides food for low-income individuals. Women, Infants, and Children, also known as WIC, is a food assistance program for women and their children. These are some websites with great information that will help you and your family live healthy lives. Living a healthy life can be achieved by eating nutrient-dense foods and exercising regularly. And by being aware of life-threatening diseases like metabolic syndrome helps protect you and your family from becoming victim to them.